potential.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Well, aloha again, everyone. And I want to say that this is interesting. It's fun, and it's an opportunity that historically we haven't had. We being the Laulu group that is now in part the foundation, the basis for the Hawaii Paho'okeau Theme Committee. And it's really a great opportunity to have our voice heard for our. My name is Keith Raymond, and I'm a faculty in Hawaiian Studies. And joining me today is co-chair of the Hawaii Paho'okeau Theme Committee for the Strategic Planning Council, Carrie Ashirota. And so we want to get going. And get going means starting with this particular picture. It's a picture of an area on the island of Hawaii. My wife took the picture. And it's called the Pu'uhonua Ohonaunau. And that's also known as the City of Refuge. The reason the picture is there is because I love the picture. I think it's well composed, but serendipity brings me to a point where, in talking about Hawaii Paho'okeau, I tried to think of something that helped with that seed of understanding of what we're trying to do, and it was staring me in the face the whole time. And that is that the City of Refuge was a place where Hawaiians who either committed a transgression or felt that something was being done to them and they weren't comfortable, could go to as a place of safety. The structures are to the left of the pictures. And I began to think, well, that's what we're saying about Native Hawaiian students. Historically, Native Hawaiian students and families have not held higher education in their minds and in their hearts as safe places. And so to even get them on our campus, get Native Hawaiian students on our campus was a difficult thing. We'll see in the slide presentation that we're going to make that we've come a long way, but we still have some things that need to be addressed. And so what we want to do is share some of the ideas with you folks. This is not an initiative started on our campus. This is a system-wide initiative, Hawaii Paho'okeau, and it is the hope of creating a model indigenous serving institution. So what does Hawaii Paho'okeau mean? Well, it provides the foundations of enlightenment and knowledge based in Hawaiian culture. We know that Hawaiians were the first humans here. There's a tremendous history that we all borrow from. Aloha, and alulike, and laulima, kinds of values that we are all going to be talking about. And it should provide the foundation for Native Hawaiian and any student to improve that road to success that we hope for. We know that if Native Hawaiian students can succeed, it will invigorate the college community itself. We know that the UH system plan created in 2011, so this is 5 years ago now, going on 5 years, that it was in process and then became officially accepted. It was President Greenwood's initiative. It being Native Hawaiian Student Success is Board of Regents policy. It is the #1 priority in the system strategic plan. And you'd think that perhaps UH Maui College would recognize that, but there's been a historical roadblock. And I'm just going to have to say, I'm going to have to lay it at the feet of our former chancellor. While every campus in the university system fulfilled the mandate of the system to initiate Hawaii Paho'okeau, our chancellor chose not to. Every other campus has Native Hawaiian retention counselors. Every other campus has places, not the Kaiao Student Success, that's not a Native Hawaiian building. They have places for Native Hawaiian students. Our campus does. As what we're saying is let's fulfill the mandate. It didn't start with Hawaii Papakia. In 1985, there was what was called the Ka'u report. Native Hawaiians were coming together saying, gosh, not enough Hawaiians. There's a disparity here. How can we create a parity in the University of Hawaii system? And there have been some successes. There's still some problems. Progress, it is phenomenal what the recruitment has achieved. People realizing, creating what are called scholarship ahas, and informing Native Hawaiian communities about where they can find money to help them. So we saw, remember earlier this morning, Vice Chancellor Kathy Dio talked about that spike in enrollment. Some of that, much of it can be attributed to Native Hawaiian students coming onto campus. They were recruited, something that I'm not sure about Native higher education. Boom, the numbers came onto campus. The problem is keeping them on campus in an environment that they've never been historically in their families used to doing this. But there are some success stories. So we have the lower persistence rates, we have lower retention rates, we have graduation rates that are lagging behind. And we also understand that on this particular campus, we have brought in multi-millions of dollars because we have Hawaiians on our campus. So a tremendous amount of money has come in to help Native Hawaiians and thereby the ripple effect of helping everybody, with the understanding, well, why weren't some of these positions to help with soft money positions, why weren't they institutionalized ever? You use the money that is supposed to help Native Hawaiians, but you never made it part of the big picture. The Hawaii Papaokeala plan in 2011 posited this idea. Here's 3 ideas. If we focus on these 3 ideas, leadership development, community engagement, and Hawaiian language and culture parity, we will thereby improve the status of Native Hawaiians and therefore the ripple effect, invigorate everyone on campus. And so what we want to be able to do is expand those programs. We find them in the soft money areas, like Mo'oa'e, some of the things you might have heard, very successful, the Hawaii scholarship monies, those kinds of things. I was remiss a little bit earlier in not pointing out that in addition to myself and Carrie Ann and the Lau'u group, specifically students have been the ones that have bounced the ideas. We've bounced ideas off of and gave us ideas. And so I want to thank Ku'ule Hanohano and Kawaii Kina and Tony Matsuda for being there. Students who have been successful on our campus and are now making their contributions. So the soft money small programs, they work. We just say, hey, we can scale up because they really should work for everybody. We also know that the community has been a little bit leery coming on to the campus. We're trying to change that. Hopefully some of you either witnessed or had a chance to stand and watch as the 350 Hawaiian immersion students came onto our campus yesterday, participated in the closing of the makahiki ceremonies, and realized that they're coming from all over the island. And so the community of the college engaging with our community, that's the kind of thing we want to do. And we also know that parity will be achieved if we can create situations that are equal to other campuses. We all have Hawaiian Studies AA programs, we all being the campuses of the University Community College system. And many of those campuses, if not all, have AA counselors. We don't. So how do we do this? We help you folks. If we're thinking 5-year strategic plan, then we're thinking 10 semesters. 2015 to 2020, that's 10 semesters we have to try and work toward this. While today, we're focusing on the budget requests 2015-2016. So we're embedded in what we want to share today in this bigger vision for what we believe needs to happen. So we need to create awareness, inventory, and sustain. There are already successful programs, and with your help, develop strategies for the future. We need to become become proficient in, and better at data gathering than we already are. And actually, there's really competent people helping to gather the data. And really, we understand that it was asked, put our campus hats on. We cannot just say, oh, we Hawaiian now, we got a Hawaiian chancellor. No, we understand. We will succeed on our merits. This is Kabedi Hina. Maybe some of you have seen her on campus. We believe we can measure that success. That needs to happen. We believe that we can have more and more qualified people. We believe that values will be embedded and imbued in everything that we do on this campus. And again, UHMC is part of the system, and it's a system initiative that is moving forward. We're a little behind, but we think we can catch up and be very successful. And so we want to make it sustainable, yes. If we have those students and we could retain them, we'd get the tuition revenues. I was very happy to hear Chancellor Okuana's presentation this morning. He seemed to be impart a lot of us. Got to keep them in there. That helps everybody. So these are our priorities. These are the Hawaii, Papa, and Keao theme group at the Strategic Planning Council priorities. And what we'd like to do is share with you some information. And you got everything presented. So we'll leave these on for now. And as it's coming out, I'd like to ask you to bring your attention back to the screen. And you see that there are 5 positions. We're going to help you try to use the long legal paper size sheet to find on that sheet where these are. Our number one priority is that going after the mandate and keeping on students, 8-point retention counselor. We also believe that counselor for studies AA is very important. But we also support areas where there are very high percentages of Native Hawaiian students, and those include Molokai and a question might come to mind, why is our number 4 a little bit even higher than that? This is, as you can see up here, numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5 are all budget priorities on other VPs, on the VP's budget. We think that having an individual, a coordinator, perhaps even a casual hire. I've been talking about institutionalizing, but the idea of Hawaii Papa Keao is such that if we could have one person, because it's everyone's, and you heard the Chancellor use the word kuleana, it's everyone's responsibility. This is not just, well, the Hawaiian studies people are going to go into STEM and tell them how to be more Hawaiian. That's really not what Hawaii Papa Keao is all about. It's everyone embracing and saying, and over time, when we look at these kinds of opportunities to engage, if we have one person, number 4, that person would be the kind of person to help everyone. Other campuses have a number 4. Again, we don't have. We don't have a retention counselor, we don't have AA counselor, we don't have places. Every other campus has a place where Hawaiians can gather. We never went after that. So as you're looking, if you have any direct questions, we'll certainly entertain them. Laura, how much time do I have?
5 minutes.
5 more minutes? So we'd like to, yes, please, go ahead.
This, do I have? So this position were never existed before?
The number 4. Oh, yes.
No.
None of them have existed. Good question.
So, what about this before Joyous explained about the retention counselor under the student success section?
Yes.
Now this is under.
They are related.
They are related.
Yes, but they're not the same position.
They are not the same position. So we are talking all this discussion under a certain constraint budget.
That's absolutely true.
So what about if we can couple?
We've tried to couple in the past. We found that the ratio, what our understanding is, and I'm not sure if we have counseling in the room to help answer the question. I'll try the best, but I would always defer to the actual counseling department and their ratio of students that they're helping out. And what counseling has informed us is that, and the system, we need to go back to that. Yes, we need a retention counselor. And we're not saying that person couldn't do both jobs, but the system mandates have said you're supposed to have specific people working with Native Hawaiians. I'm not sure if I clearly answered your question.
Yes.
So we're going after both in a time of budget constraints.
One of my points is we work under the budget constraint. At the same time, we are very ambitious.
Yes.
So under this condition, if we can focus in a particular area, so that we could use our budget, and at the same time we could fulfill our goal also.
Oh, absolutely, I agree.
So that's why just I was thinking, whatever, if we can couple, maybe other sections also might come with the same type of position.
I thank you for that. I was in the executive committee meeting with Chancellor Hokuana when he shared that he wanted to make the campus whole. And yet, and as we heard this morning again, because of budget constraints, we're going to need to go with those things that are critical, because there is no money. And so the arguments put forth by the VPs this morning were very clear. We don't have to hold fast to our argument that says this has to be the number one for us. And I think we should celebrate the fact that this historically hasn't happened, really. So everybody gets passionate. And I think that's a healthy passion to say, if we really want student success to work, we need this. If we really want Papaokeao to work, we're going to need these things. We know we're not going to get them this year, not in 2015 to 16, but we still have to put forward the art plan.
Thank you.
What I'd like to do, if we have 1 or 2 minutes, is ask Carrie Ann to share a perspective from someone. I'm a faculty member and I do work with my students in my classes, but Carrie Ann really is working with a subset of our students as a counselor, and I'd like to share a couple of views.
So I work for the Mu'a'i Native Hawaiian. I work for the Native Hawaiian Student Success Program Mu'a'i campus. It is federally funded. That grant is ending this year in September 2015. The Mu'a'i scholarships is also facing funding the end of this year. And there are other programs like that. But one of the questions that you asked about counseling ratio, the counseling department generally has 1 counselor for 400 to 500 students. When you work in a student support service program in particularly vulnerable populations, the ratio of counseling to students needs to be smaller. For our program, we have about 200 students. For Paikamana, there are 2 counselors for 150 students. But if you look at the type of case management, and I really say case management because on a daily basis, weekly basis, I'm working with students who are struggling financially. Some students, single mothers, needing childcare. Other students dealing with domestic violence, homelessness, the entire gamut. And so we cannot get to academic advising and student success if their survival and everyday needs are not being met. So for students, what we do is provide that place of sanctuary. And students will say, when I come to Kyle, when I take our program, it's not just me, it's not just the counselor, there's peer mentors, there's tutors. But for them, it's like a home, it's their family away from home. And what we try to do is welcome not only them, but their ohana, because if you can plant that seed, and what we've seen is that students have come in, sometimes their mothers have come back to school, sometimes it's a grandparent and grandchild, and I think that's the beauty that we should be looking at, is how do we plant the seeds for foundation and strength, and that in turn is only going to build and strengthen our university communities.
If there are no other questions, we should probably bring it to a close.